Richmond came out tonight and they delivered the first blow, and we were fighting and scrapping. We go in half down 2, and we come back out in the second half, and we made a run. They made a run, but they continued to execute their offense, and we didn't do a good job of guarding scouting report. We gave up far too many baskets because of scouting report, whether it was the type of cuts or passes that they were going to throw or knowing personnel. We have to do a better job of that, And then when you turn the ball over as many times as we did tonight, we had 20 turnovers, which led to 27 points for them. That's hard to overcome. And, we have to do a much better job of making our free throws when we get to the free throw line. We did some good things, posting up strong and going after balls and getting to the free throw line. We have to reward ourselves by cashing those in. And then also on the offensive glass, we had 12 offensive rebounds, and we've got to do, a good job or continue to do a better job cashing those in. But, we didn't have any fast break points in my eyes. I think we're down for 2. And, we can't be that type of team. But, give Richmond credit, but this is a this is a game that it was right there for our taking, and we didn't seize it.
What did you see happen when you cut it to 2 and didn't score in the last 6 possessions? What happened there?
Well, we didn't execute well enough. Down the stretch of the game, 5 or 6 possessions we didn't get a shot. So, we have to do a better job of trusting the offense. With that type of defense that they play, they do a lot of switching. And you can't stand there and just hold the ball and let the ball get stagnant, because that's what the defense is designed to do. When you move the basketball, good things happen and areas open up in that zone. But we didn't move the basketball well enough.
About Bryant's effort tonight. As I know the 7 turnovers don't look good, but early on in the game and throughout the game, kind of kept you in there and hit some big shots. They hit the big shot that cut it to 2, of course. That was no ordinary for you, of course. But talk a little bit about his progression and what's being demanded out of him at this point.
Well, we put a lot on his plate. There's no doubt about that, and that's part of the reason that we got him. And he's a freshman, and he's going to do some really good things, and then he's going to do some things that he needs to learn from. And, he needs to learn from the 7 turnovers tonight of making sure that we do a better job of taking care of the ball. But, he's a competitor, he's a fighter, and he's only going to get better. And, we still know he's a freshman, but we expect a lot from him, and we're going to continue to coach him and try to make him better.
Speaking of freshmen, John Collins is like just the sheer numbers he's putting up in the minutes he's played. Is he making it tougher for you to keep him on the bench?
Well, the guys he's playing behind had a double-double. I mean, you know what I mean? And so he's playing really, really well, no question about it. But I think those other 2 guys are playing well too. I think he's got to continue to learn and grow. But he's given us production that he's given us. We're very pleased with that and excited about it, and we want it to continue. But those Devin and Dinos, those guys had another double-double tonight. So it's not like the guys that are playing more minutes at his position aren't efficient or effective right now. So.
Go ahead.
Well, you have to give Richmond credit for hitting them, but what do you attribute to all the wide open threes that they're hitting?
Scouting report. We knew the guys that could shoot. We knew the guys that were capable shooters. They threw a couple up late at the shot clock that went in, and that happens. But we just didn't do a good enough job defensively, and that's probably the biggest thing. I think you look at the stat sheet, and You know, we do well in some categories. Obviously, the 20 turnover stands out. But, you know, rebounded the ball fairly well, shot it fairly well. We just gave up too many scouting report buckets.
You say scouting report points, is that more indicative of something that should have been on the scouting report or something that's on the scouting report that wasn't followed?
Something that is on the scouting report. Yeah, something that's on the scouting report.
It was there, you just didn't execute the way it was supposed to be. Is that what you're saying?
Correct. You know, that's Guardian scouting report, you know, so.
Now, Greg McClinton seemed to give some good, energy minutes early in the game, but wasn't in there down the stretch a little bit. Was there something else you were kind of looking for him in the second half to contribute more?
No, not really. I thought he played really well. You know, we're developing into a pretty deep team. And then this team is, you know, the zone that they played. Greg is one of our slashers on the inside, and Dinos is on the outside shooting the ball. And so, you know, that probably answers your question about John Collins, because he got inside there in the zone and was pretty effective as well. So, you know, we've got some guys across the front court that are going to play minutes. And, you know, when your number gets called, you got to get ready to go. We're pretty deep right there right now.
You mixed a few possessions of zone in there tonight. Did you use someone against Bucknell or was it just time out there?
A little, you know, a little. We start with the matchup, the lineup that they had in at one point in time. We could buy a few minutes playing zone just to give them a different look.
When you say you're developing into a deep team, will that team get any deeper as you go into Maui? Will anybody be added to the active roster?
We're not at that point yet. So, you know, hopefully sometime soon, but, you know, we've still got some things we need to take care of.
Has any been decision in there whether you're going to take Hudson and Watson?
Yes, decision has been made, and we will take Hudson with us.
What about Watson?
We will take Hudson with us,
I'm assuming Cody will make the trip as well, right?
yes.
But it's not expected he'll play, or you just don't know?
I don't know. I you know, it's, you know, he had a broke foot. He had surgery, and the doctors give the clearance. And once the doctors give me the okay, then we'll move on. But, you know, I don't expect it.
So you leave Friday. Could you just tell us about the experience and challenge, the whole thing, about going out the way with that tournament?
You know, it's a tournament that, when it first started, it was one of the premier tournaments during the season, and it's still a great tournament. It's a long trip for us coming from this side of the country, so we have to make the adjustment to the time change. But, you know, it's not as glamorous as a lot of people think when they say you're going to Hawaii. You know, our guys will see Hawaii when we fly in and land at the airport, on the bus to the hotel. The first night that we're there, they'll have a chance to walk around the area that we're in. And then, you know, we got to get prepared for 3 games in a row. And then once that's over on Thanksgiving Day, we'll have a Thanksgiving dinner, and they can hang out around the islands or by the hotel or whatever until our red-eye flight out that night. So it's not like we're going to play 3 games and we're going to be there 12 days. You know, that doesn't happen. So it'll be a good experience for a lot of guys to go to Maui. But it's a business trip for us. This isn't a vacation.
And based on what you've seen the first 3 games, what do you have to tighten up, and how do you have to improve to make a splash out there?
Well, one thing that we have to do, and I don't think it's just us, I think, you know, tonight there were 48 fouls called. You know, there were 48 fouls called in a game. And so with the way that the games are being officiated, you know, we have to make those adjustments throughout the course of the ball game. And we can't commit unnecessary fouls in terms of, when we're guarding out on the floor, we're 40 feet away from the basket, whether it's a hand check or a body bump or something like that, and that's something they're gonna call supposedly for the rest of the year, So we have to be much better disciplined team when we're out there guarding on the perimeter.
And what else comes to mind?
Taking care of the basketball. We've got to do a better job of taking care of the basketball. We want to play fast, but I mean, we can't turn the ball over this many times and give up this many points off of turnovers. If we're able to, you're going to turn the ball over some, but 20 is far too many, and for them to get 27 points off of that, I mean, you cut that in half, and it's a little bit different. But you got to give them credit because they force those turnovers.
Anything else for Coach?
That's it.
Right.
Thank you.